welcome back, Warhammer Man Studios, and we're going to be messing around some more with some of these different pipes and plasma conduits. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to take one of the complete conduits that's assembled, that's already magnetized on both ends, and we're going to do something a little different. The last one we had cut in half. We cut right down the middle, and because we cut it in half, we needed to add this piece to finish up the end of it. So there's something on the ends. So this time we're going to do it differently. So we have both options. And the second option is going to be, rather than just cutting it down the center right here, what we're going to do is we're going to cut off the two end pieces. And then if we do that, we'll just join the two end pieces back together without the middle section. So we're going to get one piece that's the exact length. Because right now, the height of this halfway is the exact height of this here. So in some cases, we want that perfect. So we're going to take our razor blade and we're just going to run it right along there. Basically, just right along the crack. Oh, careful not to cut ourselves or drop anything too important. And same thing on this one. There we go. Forever, man. Hang on. If you've ever dropped a bit before, and I know you have if you're watching this, I got lucky because that thing could have fell into the abyss, never to be seen again. But anyway, so now we have our two little pieces. These were the ends before, both magnetized, opposite polarity like usual, and then we have the centerpiece that we cut out, and you'll see why we had to add the pieces to the end of these other guys, because you end up essentially with just that opening right there. So now that we have this piece right here, you can see this is the exact height. So when we add on these pieces here, this one is now going to be one extra piece tall. So we're going to have three different heights when we're all said and done. This one is, man, it's hard to get them to stay up here, and it's not really a flat surface. So you're not really going to be able to tell. But we essentially have this one is going to be the exact height of the column. This one is one piece taller, and then this one is two pieces taller. And again, sorry they look all janky right here. But yeah, so that's essentially the purpose of what we're doing right now. So I'm just going to move these back out of the way, and we'll finish making this one in a minute. But now we're going to take this, and essentially, like we said, we have our two pieces right here. All we want to do is just connect those two pieces together, so we just have that one piece, and it's going to go just like the rest of our stuff, where the polarity is going to go in one direction. So I'm just going to take a little super glue right on the edge where we cut it, run a nice little bead, and then basically look at this and see if there's one side that would look cooler. We're just going to kind of line up the line so it looks like more natural when it's done. Just want to put it back together so you can't even tell that it was ever cut apart. It is Necromunda, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I doubt anybody's going to be like super inspecting your underhive anytime soon, but there we have it. That's our piece completed now, and it is magnetized on both sides. And then essentially that's just going to give us that exact height piece of the column. So when we want to do something where we need it to be like the specific height, that's our guy right there. And then next we have this guy right here, so we need to do something with that. So all we're going to do is take our little end cap pieces, just going to get a couple of these bad boys, and we're just going to put a couple of them on there, one on each end. So we just end up with essentially like somewhere for the magnet to mount to. Otherwise, yeah, there's not really anywhere to put it. So for these, all we're going to do is just put a little glue on the back. We just need to make sure that we're doing... What I'm doing right now is just making sure the magnet's facing the right polarity. And then we're just going to drop one in the back right there. I use the back of my razor blade because it's aluminum to push the magnet in. But now that's all we have. So we just have one on each side for that right there. And then we can basically attach this right here. And we're magnetized and good to go. And then if we wanted to attach this, you'll see that's going to attach on that side. Perfect. So just going to put a little glue along that edge right there. And I try to get both surfaces, so when I put it on the corner, so it's on like kind of that inside edge and on the outside edge. And then all we're going to do is just position this guy as flat as possible and as centered as possible. And that's one side completed of that one, and then we're just going to do one for the other side as well. Same thing again. Starting to build up quite the little underhive over here, as you can see. Alright, so I'm taking the top piece right there, and I'm just going to make sure the magnets are facing the same direction, which they are. And then I can drop one right in the back there, making sure again that we're going in the right way so we don't have any surprise magnets. Because I mean, I've definitely done that before, I'm sure everybody has. And then we're just going to throw the other on this side. You're like magnetizing everything, it's looking all perfect, and you got like the perfect little like seal and everything, and then you go to like put it together and it's backwards. The polarity, I mean, is backwards. So there we have it. We're going to take the other half of that piece that we just made. And again, if you're not doing like a ton of specific stuff, you may not need some of these pieces here because they're just unnecessary if you're just doing like more 2D stuff. A lot of this stuff is really coming into use and necessity when you start getting into like the three-dimensional. You'll realize that you need to make up like different heights to do different things. So now we have essentially created those three different heights. So, and again, it's probably with the camera angle and everything, it's very tough for you probably to tell the difference. But this one is the exact height of the pillar. The second one has one little step up on it, and the other one has two steps up on it. And then, you know, that's just a duplicate of that same one. And now, because we did that, we have a ton more options, essentially, to create different size and different steps up and stuff like that. So, for instance, where we have this guy right here, if we were wanting to make that the same height as this to correct them, we need to figure out exactly what the difference is. And, you know, then we can get a better idea which one of our different, like, sort of adapters we need to use. So if you just took this, basically, and put it right there, you know, you'll see they're not quite coming in the same height. So we'll take off whatever we had going on down here to begin with, and essentially we can just pick which one of these we need to use to get the right height, you know what I mean, for different situations. Obviously in this situation, these are all going to be like the 2 or more, so we're not going to be able to connect to like this to them. We need like a single one basically to put in the bottom right there, and that would give us like the correct height to make that up. But you know, just as like an example, basically. But if you were really trying to like connect those, all you would do is you would take one of these guys right here, and essentially you would have the one that just comes straight down out of it, so you don't have like the curved pipe that needs to go on the end, and then that's going to allow you to basically line up the height right there, and then you can take one of your adapter pieces. You get the short one, take out that, and basically now you have like the correct height for it to actually sit up there. And if I took out the curved one, I should have probably just built all of this before I came on here, but you know, it's never ending because I have so much random little stuff that can go together. And that's what's so great about these kits is everything is so compatible. So that's our exact height, like lined up basically, and that was using the adapter that we had made. And this is the first one. That's why we had to cut the middle out of that piece. By cutting the middle out and putting two together, we kept the exact height of the column with that adapter, and that's why that one specific piece is so crucial. Oh, and another thing too, that I noticed that you may not, is you can put all these together in a ton of different ways. There's essentially two different sides. So if you use two different sides, they will let you put different pieces together to form different stuff. But if you try to use the same side, they will not go together. Of course, the likelihood that I would grab all the same one, that's like 1 in a million. But you'll see, like right here, these two cannot go together. They're the same side. So they line up on one side, but when you flip it over, you cannot get them to go in. They don't connect. But then if you take this one here, oh, that's the same one again, I think. That one's going to go in perfectly. So now you can create a straight one with this piece. But these two pieces are the most important. And I didn't even realize this when I put it together. I was just putting them together. I put these two pieces together. And that gave me the ability to have, essentially, it's not a T, but it lets you go in both directions with a single pipe. As where if you took these same two pipes and you put them with the other side, which is like a blank or a straight, you get two separate pieces that are 90 degrees just out of like a different spot. So again, depending where you're trying to make that 90 degree happen, one of these is going to line up with it, but they're go off of that center portion. So again, if we just keep using that center to give us an idea of the lengths and the heights and everything, it gives us basically like a part to start off of, and then we know like how many of our little extensions we need. But now that you know you have options like that, I already built the one back here to split off in both directions. Now I think I'll probably build these two so they just have one split. So when it's all said and done, they'll basically just be like a T like this, and you know, I guess the beginning of an F. I don't know what you want to call that, but that's just some different options right there. But basically, you know, I've just been experimenting a ton with this stuff and just trying to get a better idea as to you know, what direction you want to go with it and how you can get it all to line up exactly how you want to. And you know, that way you know fully before you start gluing stuff or whatever, like what direction you're kind of going in, so you don't just sort of end up with a bunch of stuff that you can't really attach together in the way you wanted to do. So, but I like the idea of, say, like, for instance, this little guy hanging off the end, and it looks like the pipes kind of like go on somewhere or whatever, as opposed to just like ending it at a turn, and that's just like the end of the pipe and we're finished here. So but basically I'm just going to go through now and sort of like mess with some of this stuff, and my goal is to connect this kind of over here and then back down into there in this little deal, so it looks like the pipes are kind of going, and then it's going to kind of give like a little bit of a more of like a 3D feel to the whole board, I think. You know, having that extra level, even though it's not like a third level you can necessarily like walk on, but it gives like a third depth to like the environment, as opposed to like right now we're 2 levels high. But I do have some big plans here for next steps and add-ons and everything, and a couple more sprues that I want to check, like the heights and compatibility